Hello everyone. As you may have noticed, bison meat is becoming one of the most sought-after foods in America. Once a symbol of the untamed wilderness, it's now a premium item served in upscale restaurants and health-conscious kitchens alike. But here's something many people don't realize. Today, North American meat plants process 260 to 300 bison every week, a staggering number compared to just 3 per week back in the 1990s. So, how did we go from near extinction to industrial-scale production? In this video, we'll explore that transformation, tracing the journey of the American bison from open prairie to processing floor. We'll uncover how a species once known for roaming wild is now raised, tracked, and harvested with surprising precision. And along the way, we'll ask, when meat is branded as wild, what does that really mean? Before fences crisscrossed the plains, before settlers pushed west, the bison ruled North America. Tens of millions once thundered across open grasslands, a vital force in the lives of indigenous nations and the balance of the continent's ecosystems. Their sheer presence shaped the land. But by the late 1800s, this ancient beast was nearly gone. Relentless hunting, railroads, and westward expansion pushed them to the brink of extinction, from 50 million to just a few hundred. And yet today, remarkably, bison are back. Not in the wild, but on farms. Why? Because modern demand has rebranded the symbol of the frontier as something new, a cleaner, leaner alternative to beef. It's wild meat, marketed as heritage-rich, nutrient-dense, and environmentally sustainable. Across the US and Canada, thousands of ranchers now raise bison, not to restore the past, but to feed a growing market. In 2024 alone, Americans consumed over 12 million pounds of bison meat. From jerky in gas stations to fillets in high-end restaurants, this animal has become a premium product. But here's the twist. Bison were never meant to be farmed. They're not cattle. They don't herd easily. They don't tolerate confinement, which begs the question, how do you farm something that was born to be wild? Let's take a closer look, starting from the very beginning of a bison's life. There's no lullaby on the prairie, no warm barn, no human hand to ease the pain, just wind, dust, and instinct. That's how a bison calf enters the world. Not gently, but alert. Born into vast open land, it must stand within minutes, walk within the hour, and in just a few short weeks, it must learn to outrun death. Because in nature, hesitation costs lives. Its mother, seasoned by survival, nudges it to move. Herds migrate constantly, and calves must keep up or be left behind. Still wobbling, still wet from birth, the calf follows. Its legs unsure, but its will undeniable. Each day it grows stronger. It nurses in the early morning fog. It grazes beside the herd as the sun climbs. It learns the scent of predators on the wind. It learns how to vanish into the grass. There is no classroom, only instinct and repetition, passed down not through language, but through movement. By 3 months, it's agile and lean. By 6, it blends into the massive muscle that is the herd. And yet, even in this raw beauty, the future is uncertain. In the wild, predators cull the weak. On the ranch, steel fences and microchips await, because not every calf gets to grow old. Some are tagged early, some are pulled for treatment. Some simply vanish from the herd's rhythm. This is life as a bison calf, breathtakingly free and quietly watched. A creature born wild, and slowly steered toward a system it never chose. Next, we'll see what happens when that freedom meets the cold precision of the modern livestock industry. By now, our young bison has survived the hardest part, birth and early life on the open plains. But as it grows, so does the presence of humans. What once was pure wilderness slowly becomes regulated range. Modern bison farming is a dance between freedom and control. Yes, they still graze in open pastures, but behind those pastures lie systems, schedules, and silent technology. Every animal wears an electronic tag. Each movement is tracked, each pound of feed logged, every illness recorded, treated, and filed. This is no longer just a field. It's a data-driven operation. Feeding is often handled by automated machines that mix hay, grains, and minerals into carefully calibrated rations. Some ranches even monitor each animal's intake and weight with precision sensors, ensuring just enough nutrition for growth, but never too much to spoil the meat's lean quality. Veterinarians visit on schedule. Drones may fly overhead to check herd behavior, and when it's time to move, for medical checks, weight assessments, or breeding decisions, hydraulic gates and sorting chutes guide the animals into place. It's efficient, it's effective, and yet something about it feels strangely out of sync with the animal itself. The bison is still wild at heart, but now lives in a world of spreadsheets, steel, and satellite data. Is this freedom or well-managed captivity? Let's take a closer look at what happens when these 1,000-pound animals meet the machines designed to manage their muscle. If you found this content meaningful or eye-opening, comment 1 below. If it feels dull or uninspired, type 0. Your feedback helps shape the next story we tell. They were born to run, not to stop. But sooner or later, every farmed bison faces the chute. It starts quietly. A gentle nudge here, a narrowing alley there. The animal walks forward unaware until it can't turn back. Then comes the sound of steel locking into place. This isn't a slaughter line, not yet. It's a checkpoint, a pause in the journey where biology meets bureaucracy. The device is called a squeeze chute, a towering steel frame that holds the bison still while ranchers perform essential procedures. Vaccinations, health checks, electronic tagging. There are no tranquilizers, no soothing voices. Just hydraulics, muscle, and instinct colliding in a tight, breathless space. For some, it lasts seconds. For others, an eternity. The chute applies firm pressure along the animal's body, mimicking the calming squeeze of a predator-free shelter. That's the theory. But bison don't calm easily. You can see it in their eyes, wild and scanning. Hear it in the slam of hooves. Feel it in the way 1,000 pounds of heritage trembles inside a steel cage. Some stand frozen, shocked by confinement. Others thrash, foam, and lunge, even as the gate holds firm. There's no room for error here. One wrong movement, one misplaced bolt, and someone could be hurt. Maybe worse. This is the price of management. The quiet compromise between safety and sovereignty. And when a bison grows too large, too aggressive, or simply reaches market weight, there's no second stop, no turnoff, only one final corridor. In the next chapter, we follow that path from living muscle to meat. There's a certain stillness to the morning. As the sun rises over the prairie, the familiar sound of trailers backing into the yard signals a day unlike the rest, one that every rancher knows well, yet never takes lightly. It's slaughter day. The bison, now fully grown and heavy with strength, are moved gently into transport. Handlers work quietly, avoiding stress. The goal is calm, always calm. At the processing facility, everything is designed with care: curved walkways, soft lighting, and quiet movement to keep the animals from distress. This is not the chaos of industrial meat production. This is a controlled, regulated environment guided by both science and responsibility. And then the moment comes. The animal is rendered unconscious swiftly and without pain, using approved humane methods. There's no panic, no struggle, just a quiet transition, as seamless as modern protocols allow. What follows is a series of practice steps. The bison is prepared, cleaned, and respectfully processed into cuts of meat that will nourish families' stock shelves and appear on elegant dinner plates across the country. From ribeye to ground bison, each portion is inspected for quality, handled with care, and preserved with precision. To some, this might feel clinical. To others, it may seem deeply respectful, a way of ensuring that nothing is wasted and that the animal's life is honored through the purpose it serves. But for many watching from the outside, a quiet question remains. Is there such a thing as ethical meat, or only ethical intention? In our next chapter, we'll follow this journey one step further, from facility to fork, and explore what it means when the story of the prairien ends at the table. After the noise fades and the work is done, what remains is something surprisingly quiet. Carefully cut sections of meat, each one a reflection of strength, time, and heritage. This is where the story takes on a new form. In cold rooms lined with stainless steel, skilled workers sort and trim each part of the bison with precision. The ribeye, the tenderloin, the flank. Every cut has a purpose, and every purpose has a story. The meat is vacuum sealed, labeled, and boxed. Some will head to fine dining restaurants in New York or San Francisco, plated beside wild mushrooms and heirloom carrots. Others will be sold in local co-ops or health stores, where labels read grass-fed, free-range, 100% North American bison. And in homes across the country, someone opens a package, seasons a steak, and sets it on a hot skillet. They may know it's leaner than beef. They may appreciate its high protein and iron. But few will ever know the journey that brought it here, from the calf's first step on prairie grass, to the machines that monitored its weight, to the chute, and beyond. Every slice holds a story, every steak a sacrifice. And as demand for bison meat grows, so too does the distance between the wild and the plate. Which raises a quiet question. Is the demand changing the animal, or changing us? In the next chapter, we'll explore that tension and what it means when nature becomes a commodity. Would you pay more for bison just because it's labeled wild? Do you believe the word wild makes it more valuable? Or is it just clever marketing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. There was a time when wild meat meant survival. Now it means status. Bison, once hunted for warmth and nourishment, is now praised on health blogs and plated in fine restaurants. Lean, natural, primal. It fits the story many of us want to believe, that we can eat in harmony with the land, that clean food connects us back to something real. But beneath that promise lies a quiet reality. As demand rises, so does the price. A bison steak, once reserved for frontiersmen, now commands boutique prices, and with it, pressure on producers to scale, accelerate, industrialize. Wild is still on the label, but the process has become anything but. Farms grow larger, pastures more managed, animals more measured, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the wildness we crave becomes curated, packaged, and sold. It leaves us with a difficult question. When nature becomes a commodity, what part of it disappears? Perhaps it's not the flavor, or even the freedom. Perhaps what fades is the feeling, that quiet knowing that what we took from the land was once given freely, that we weren't just eating better, we were belonging to something older than ourselves. The bison has always carried weight, not just in muscle and horn, but in meaning. It once moved like a pulse across the continent, a living thread that stitched together land, people, and purpose. For centuries, it was legacy. But legacies don't always survive modern math. Today, the bison still carries, but it's different now. It carries barcodes, ear tags, market expectations. Each hoofstep measured not in stories, but in pounds and price. And yet, listen closely, not all is lost. There are still ranchers who look beyond the bottom line, who raise bison not just to sell, but to remember, to preserve something older than industry, quieter than profit. So we ask not with judgment, but with honesty. Are we honoring a legacy or managing an asset? The answer may lie in the space between the two, where tradition meets choice and wildness waits to be invited back in. Maybe the wild isn't gone. Maybe it's just waiting to be respected again. The bison's story is not just about meat. It's about memory, about the balance between reverence and demand, survival and sacrifice. We've followed them from grasslands to cutting floors, from ancient instinct to modern machinery. But in the end, what remains isn't just a question of how we raise them. It's how we remember them. If you believe the story of the bison deserves to be heard, shared, and understood, subscribe and leave a comment below. Let your voice be part of something lasting.